Today's tier list, we're going to go over the games of Lord of the Rings and Middle-earth and rank them from good to bad. And considering I'm still in my Lord of the Rings phase and I'm going through Battle for Middle-earth and the Return of the King game, it seems appropriate to do a tier list of these games. As you can see here, we have the normal S, A, B, C, and D tier, and then we have this list of games that I actually created myself. This is the first tier list that I did by hand, downloaded the thumbnails and input it in here. I did not include every Lord of the Rings game that exists, but I included the ones that I have definitely played, and I decided this time I'm not going to do a list and a section of games that I've never touched before. There are ones that I haven't done, like Aragorn's Quest. I haven't played that game, so I don't find it necessary to put on the list. But these are the games that I have played and I have really enjoyed. So I'm going to do a tier list of these games and see where it takes us. First, let's start with the Lord of the Rings Lego and Hobbit Lego. I'm going to put Lord of the Rings Lego at B, as well as Hobbit also at B. They're a package deal. Lord of the Rings Lego, I'm currently doing that one right now. I'm actually going through that while I go through the other games, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, Lego games are really good games. They really put a lot of effort into them. And there's very high attention to detail in these games, and it does not match, in my opinion, the level of quality as the Star Wars Lego games. But Lord of the Rings Lego is actually really good. It's not an A tier for me, it's definitely B, but still a really solid Lego game. And the same thing for Hobbit. You got the voice acting from the movies within the game, and they're taking the voices from the movie and incorporating it behind the Lego characters. It's really good. And also, I think the only thing that's kind of weird is that these Lego games try to put a comedic spin on some of the more serious tones in Lord of the Rings. So, for example, when Boromir dies, he gets shot with an arrow, then a broomstick, and then a banana. But the serious music is still playing in the background. So because Lego games try to lighten the mood of serious events, it's trying to be funny, but it's still just kind of interesting how they go about it. Now we go back really far to the Fellowship of the Ring Game Boy game. I'm going to place that one as B as well. I remember this is one of the first games I ever got my hands on in my Game Boy SP, a little black square, and it was such a fun game to run around in the Shire as Frodo. I don't think I ever got past the Shire, but it was still such an enjoyable game to play on the Game Boy. The Hobbit game, I'm going to put it C, just for the fact that I played it a little bit when I was a kid, but that was a little before my time, or at least before my gaming time in my young age. But I don't remember it vividly, but I do remember playing it at least once. Putting it at C because I don't remember it fully. I know people who love this game are going to go to the comments and they're going to say, how dare you put this game at C? I'm sorry. Lord of the Rings, The Third Age. So, Lord of the Rings, The Third Age on Game Boy is different than the one on GameCube and PlayStation 2. The one on Game Boy, I'm going to put at B. Again, really fun game to play on the Game Boy. I remember putting so many hours into the Game Boy version of this game than any other Game Boy game, honestly. It's still the same fashion. It's a turn-based game. You take your turn, the enemy takes theirs, and it was just a lot of fun, but they had to minimize the quality of game because, of course, it was on a Game Boy. Lord of the Rings, The Third Age on GameCube, A. Absolutely, 100% love this game. One of the games that I grew up with, along with Lord of the Rings Two Towers and Lord of the Rings Return of the King on the GameCube. Absolutely loved this game. One of the coolest Lord of the Rings games they've ever created, and it was so much fun. You get to travel of the events of the War of the Ring, but as different characters. And along the journey, you get to pick up certain heroes, you play at certain events, you play at Helm's Deep, Minas Tirith, Pelennor Fields, and different ventures along the way. And it was so much fun. Lord of the Ring Conquest. I'm going to stick at B as well. This was one of the, if not the only, first-person Lord of the Rings game, basically doing team deathmatch, but in Lord of the Rings style. This game, when it came out, I had on Xbox 360, and it was a lot of fun. You get to run around as a Gondorian soldier, and you're shooting your bow and arrow at orcs. You can run around with a sword. It was super cool and something that never actually happened again afterwards. And this is one of those games that I'm still trying right now as I'm going back through the old games to try to find and be able to play again, because I want to experience it again now, so many years later. I honestly think this is the only first-person view game for Lord of the Rings, and I really want to get back to that because that was something very special. Battle for Middle-earth 1, S tier. It was a vital game growing up, and I played it on the computer so freaking much. I played the crap out of that CD to the point where I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure I played it until it broke. The first game I had ever touched in regard to building a base, gathering your troops, training your troops, and then attacking an entire enemy fortress with all of what you just built. So much fun. Absolutely loved it. And then it got even better, in my opinion, with Battle for Middle-earth 2 is S tier. So much more fun. They're both S tier. I think I like Battle for Middle-earth 2 more, as you can see on my other videos on this channel. And being able to play at Minas Tirith, I think that is my favorite one. I just did a Battle for Middle-earth Minas Tirith fight on one of my videos previously. Go check it out. Being able to simulate the battle at Minas Tirith is so much fun. I can't believe still that I was able to find 1 and 2 of these games to be able to play now, 15 years later. I was so happy I was able to locate these games and be able to play them now. They are so much fun, and I want to continue to keep making battles and creating battles and playing this and uploading these videos. Lord of the Rings War in the North, I'm also going to be placing at B. This game came out around 2010, 2011, and I don't think I ever beat the game, but I remember really enjoying this game. Not A-worthy, but still a really good, solid game. And the graphics I remember then were like, holy crap, there's no way the graphics are this good for a Lord of the Rings game. Absolutely enjoyed it. Another game that I'm still trying to figure out how to play today, just like Lord of the Rings Conquest. I don't know where to get it. I don't know how to play it. I think I'm going to have to whip out the good old 360 to be able to play these two games and have a little bit of a throwback. Now we get into the big games, and I don't mean Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. Lord of the Rings Online, in my opinion, is probably an S+ tier game. Out of all of these games combined, will never match the amount of hours and time I have put into the Lord of the Rings Online game. This game came out around 2007, and I have been playing it ever since. Now, when I was young and I played this back in 2007, I really had no idea what was going on. I totally botched my character, and it took me about, I don't know, 7, maybe 8 years to get him to even level like 60. But once I understood how the game actually worked, it became so much fun to be able to travel to all of the key locations within Middle-earth. Is one of my all-time favorite things. This is one of my all-time favorite MMOs and open world games. It's up there probably top 5 with World of Warcraft, New World, which I picked up recently in a couple years, which I actually really enjoy, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. This game is at the top. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it actually might be my favorite. I spent so much time in Thorin's Hall, took my quests all the way to Moria, loved Moria. And then once I got to Minas Tirith and to Helm's Deep, all of the key spots, absolutely amazing. Even to this day, I still pick up this game, play for about a month, maybe pay for a subscription for a month, and then get all the rewards and just do some traveling. I'll make some new characters, and I think I have gone through the beginning process in Archit all the way to Bree, maybe like 30 times with 30 different characters, and then I just delete them because I never come back to them and they take up the character slots. I know people on YouTube who play these games, and I watch their live streams. It's a game that is not very popular, but for Lord of the Rings fans, if you have not played this game and you want to do an open world adventure and you want to go through all of the key areas within Middle-earth, I highly suggest this game. It is free to play to a certain extent, so you get the feel of it, but it's a really fun game for a big Lord of the Rings fan. Return to Moria, I'm going to stick at A. This came out last year, 2023, and it actually was a lot of fun. You are these dwarves who are trying to reclaim Moria, but there are multiple orc armies and battalions that are stopping you from doing this. You are mining for materials, and you gain armor, and you create your base, and then you go deeper and deeper into Moria, and this all takes place in the 4th Age after the events of the One Ring being destroyed. And spoiler alert, at the end, you and whoever friends you take on this adventure end up battling a dragon, and then you reclaim Moria. This game was a lot of fun. I watched a lot of people play it first before I got into it, and it looked a lot of fun, but I didn't think I was going to have as much fun as I did. I took one of my buddies with me, and we did just the two of us, and we conquered the game. And I'm pretty sure I played more than he did. But at that time, I had no other games I wanted to play, and I went full tilt. I think my only gripe with the game is how many times I had to redo everything from scratch. Meaning that I'd gain all this new armor, and then I have to go find the next forge to get the next stuff. And then I have to go find the next forge to do the next stuff. And I couldn't just fight all of these orcs by what I had. I had to keep gaining. And there was about 6 levels of gear that I had to reach before I could fight the next group of orcs. It was very long and tedious, and it took a lot of time. But for someone who likes to sit down and relax and do that kind of free roam game and travel around and collect materials, it's the perfect game for you. Then we get to the Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers, and the Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. This might ruffle some feathers, and I apologize, but Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers for me is B tier. The reason being is because at the same time when I was playing these games, I had Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers, and Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. And Return of the King constantly, as I'm currently making the videos for them right now and doing my gameplay playthrough, it is a phenomenal game. And Two Towers just couldn't match that. And while I'm making this list, I don't think that Two Towers is at the same level as The Third Age, which is a game that I also played at the same exact time. Obviously, by the title, you are playing the events of the Two Towers. And as these games do, you are playing at the beginning during the Fellowship, and then you go into the Two Towers. And then with Return of the King, you do the end of Two Towers and then the rest of Return of the King. So Two Towers is B tier because it's still fun. The levels weren't as fun as Return of the King, but they were still really good. But then we have Return of the King, which in my opinion is an S tier Lord of the Rings video game. It is, without a doubt, one of the most entertaining Lord of the Rings and maybe games of all time. Now, of course, with Third Age, Return of the King, and Two Towers, it is just filled with nostalgia, and nostalgia is a very powerful thing, which I've seen with some of the videos I've uploaded. I remember playing this game when I was a kid. Me and my brother had my GameCube out, and we would play it, mostly me just watching him play all the way through. And I remember one Christmas break, we were playing this game, and I went on to play. He wasn't home, and I decided, you know what, I want to play by myself. Well, if everyone remembers, with the GameCube, you had the little gray memory cards and the purple ones. Somehow, I don't know how I did it, I kind of know how. I went on, I played, and I wanted to save my own personal game, you know, as you do. Well, I didn't just save my game, I saved over my brother's progress. Now, when you're a kid, you're not as evolved in your gaming experience as we are now, and like right now, it's still hard to this day while I'm playing it. It's not that easy. Imagine playing this as a kid, getting as far as the Dead City, and your younger brother comes in and just deletes your file. I'd be pretty mad too. It's a funny story that we share with the family all the time. It's really funny, but it's not. If I was the older brother, even the younger brother, and he had deleted my save memory, I would have been furious. And I don't even think that it was that he didn't beat the game yet. I think he did beat the game, and I think all of his characters were level 10, which makes it way more serious. As you've seen with my parts that I've been playing in this game on this channel, I am not yet finished this game. I'm going to be done soon, and bringing it back after 15 years is just absolutely amazing. Love this game so much and the memories it brings with it, and that's why it belongs in S tier. Then we come to newer games for Lord of the Rings, but that are before Return to Moria and in between everything else. Shadow of Mordor is a B game. This game is a lot of fun. You're playing as this ranger. I don't remember his name. I haven't played it in ages. And Celebrimbor is a spirit, basically kind of like a force ghost in a way. And he wants vengeance against Sauron. So he uses you. You just died recently. And he wants to create his own One Ring, which has the blue writing on it and is a silver ring, opposed to the orange writing and the gold ring. So as you have Celebrimbor kind of using you as a host, you were going through Mordor's armies and just taking everyone out. You're killing all of these orcs, you're working your way through the ranks, and then in Shadow of War, I'm going to put that one also at B tier. These games are a lot of fun for me, but they weren't that crazy. I'm sure that back then I felt a lot different, but I recently have gone through and watched people play them, and they're really fun. but Shadow of War, I think I like Shadow of Mordor better than Shadow of War. Shadow of War is B tier. It's the same thing, but now you are building your own orc army, and you go and you grab your hand and you stick it on an orc, and now that orc is part of your army, and you're going to battle between your orc army and Sauron's orc army. And I think where it lost me was that Shadow of War, you're just going from one base of orcs to the next. And by like base 6, I just gave up. And I came back and finished it like afterwards, years later. It just got very repetitive. You were going through, you had to go and you had to destroy the whole base. You had to manipulate everyone, brainwash them, take them under your control. And it was just a lot. But that being said, they were still a lot of fun. They were made by WB, which I'm pretty sure is the same company that made the Batman Arkham Knight series, which are really fun games. So it was the same combat format, and it was just a lot of fun. But that is it. This is my personal Lord of the Rings game tier list. These are the games that I grew up with, the games that are new and I'm starting to play, and I have really enjoyed all of these games my entire life. These S tier ones especially, and Return to Moria, and I'm excited for what's to come next. I think Tales of the Shire is coming out, which is more of like a third-person Stardew Valley. That I'm down for. I will definitely get on board and play that game, and something to relax with and play. I'm still making Battle for Middle-earth 2 videos and posting them every Monday as much as I can. And I'm also on my way to finishing Lord of the Rings Return of the King and having that gameplay finished. Really enjoy these games. I'm satisfied with this list, and I really wish they would just make more Lord of the Rings games. I'm so confused why they don't and why they've just stopped. I don't think the right company has picked up the rights to make Lord of the Rings games. I know that we have Return to Moria that came out, and we have Tales of the Shire coming out, but there are these small little games that aren't really huge. And I think just what I'm confused about is why we don't have people remastering these games. Obviously, I love Lord of the Rings Return of the King, and even the graphics, they aren't that great, but they're still good enough for that game. I would love a remastered version of that game. Lord of the Rings Conquest, The Third Age, Battle for Middle-earth game. Someone needs to grab these games and remaster them. I already spoke about this on a previous video, but I'm just confused on why so many of these games that we have today are remastered and remade. I mean, The Last of Us 1 got remastered, twice before the second one came out? I could be wrong, but then the second one got remastered, and they're not old games. Let's talk about Skyrim for a second. Skyrim has been out for 14 years, and they have remastered and remade that game, 6, 7 times, and people have been modding that game out like crazy. Absolutely insane. Just recently, Star Wars Bounty Hunter just got remastered, and it didn't look any different, and they did the same thing with Battlefront 1. It didn't look that different. I think it's high time for someone to come along to do it correctly and do it justice and grab one of these old games and remaster them and make them look great, bring them back, and I think they'll make a lot of money. It will definitely benefit someone to remake these. Thank you once again for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what your opinions are and what your tier list would look like. Thank you once again. If you like this video and want more, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video.